Hi, I'm going to show you how to do a gesture drawing. But first, we need to learn how to set up our easels. So these easels are kind of awkward to use until you get a handle on it. Right here is how you control it moving up and down. If I were to let go with my left hand, this whole thing would come smashing down on my little tootsies. So watch out for that. Right now it's set into the landscape position, but I want to put it on the portrait position. In the back of the easel, there's another toggle here. So you want to loosen that and tighten it securely so it keeps the board from wobbling. All right, when we're setting up to draw, we want to have the base of the easel about hip height so I can use my whole arm all over my newsprint pad. When you're drawing in your sketchbook, you still want to be using your whole arm. So don't draw like this, right? You still want to be using and activating your whole rotator cuff every time you draw. The exception of maybe like a shoulder injury, which has happened in the past. So once I have my easel securely tightened, I can pull out my newsprint pad and flip to a clean page. The last thing I would say about that is that you don't want to have your easel in front of whatever it is you're looking at. So notice I have this set up over here for the gesture drawing. And what I want to do is make sure that my body is open to whatever it is I'm looking at. So in your sketchbooks, you don't want to have your back to whatever it is you're looking at. You don't want to have your back to your still life ever. Whatever it is you're drawing, you always want to make sure you have an unimpeded view of it. So it's really, really important that instead of having your easel like this, you have it at an angle so your body and your eyes can be open, have an open view of what it is you're drawing. All right, next, I'm going to pull out my drawing supplies and find a little bit of cloth. Your cloth will probably look like a piece of leather because it's new. Eventually, it will start to get holes in it if you use it enough. This is called a chamois. A chamois is really, really, really useful when you're gesture drawing. And the other tool I'm going to pick out is what's called vine charcoal. Vine charcoal is a light, easily erasable tool that is very good for gesture drawing, which is what I'm going to do with you today. So gesture drawing is loose, it's fluid, it's dynamic, it is quick, and it's meant to get you started on the drawing. When we're gesture drawing, we don't want to be focused solely on the outlines of an object. Do not focus on the outlines. Focus on the interior of the object. What I mean is, instead of focusing on where the edges of the object are, meeting maybe your other field of vision, you want to be focused more on the information inside of it. When I'm holding my vine charcoal, I'm going to hold it like this. Okay, you don't want to hold it like a pencil. No, you want to hold it, you can see, like this, okay? Kind of like a violin bow. This way you get all of the dexterity of your wrist and you're really able to fully draw all over the page. Important keys for gesture drawing. Look more at the object. Be loose, be free, play some quick music. Don't overthink them. The whole point is to get something on the page and start working with it because there's nothing more intimidating than a blank page. You just want to look and record your immediate impressions and then use your chamois to erase. All right, so here I go. Notice I haven't even looked at my paper bag. Whew, that's exciting. And I don't have any outside lines. I don't have any exterior, what I would call exterior lines. All right, maybe I will chamois it out. That was maybe a 10-second gesture. Okay, so notice how your chamois starts to work some charcoal onto your page. This vine charcoal is very soft, right? It's very movable. So it's almost like I don't have anything there at all, right? But I can kind of still see the ghost of this. When you're doing your drawings, I'm going to expect to see lots of erasing, lots of working on the page, and not just one line, and another line, and another line. Because when we're making these drawings, everything is interconnected. All right, you also might have noticed that my vine charcoal broke when I was using it, and that will happen, right? That will happen. I personally can have a heavy hand sometimes. Some people have a lighter hand. Just working a little lighter prior to getting darker, because it's always harder to erase into your drawing with really, really, really dark lines. I also like to break my vine charcoal, break it in half, because I think the long length makes it more difficult to hold. Woo. You might also notice that your charcoal is harder. It's because the vine charcoal is literally from twigs. What I don't want you to be doing is short little lines like that. You want to be fluid. You want to be quick. You want to be making these observations and looking at the object and recording them. I'm hoping that you can start to see the bag emerge. And I've probably been drawing for about 30 seconds. I personally like to make multiple gestures where I really looking more here than I am here. I'm really trying to look at my paper bag. And so I can start to get some of these more interesting lines that are here onto the page and start to really see the movement and the direction of my object. Okay, so the gesture drawing is the beginning of your drawing. It's not the end. So it should be loose, it should be free. You should be drawing from the interior of your object. This part, not those outside lines. You want to keep your tool on the page more. I hope you noticed that I was keeping my tool on the page. And then when it comes to kind of maybe erasing, you can use your chamois to start to get at some of that information, right? I can see a little bit of the bag down here, but I'm not tied to any of these lines. I'm ready to edit any of them. And that's the point of gestures, to figure out, does it fit on the page? You want to fit everything that you're looking at and you want to put in your composition onto the page during your gesture. Make more than one gesture and draw over lines. Don't be afraid to draw over your lines, okay? Do not take too long to create this, because any drawing that takes longer than 2 to 3 minutes is no longer a gesture. That just becomes a longer drawing, right? So make sure that you remember that a gesture is always supposed to be quick. We're always just supposed to start out. It's the way of us getting warmed up, looking at our objects and getting them on the page. The last thing I would say is that in between this gesture and maybe the next step that I would take, I would want to step back to maybe where the camera is, so I can step away from it and see where I might need to change my proportions. Okay, so this is what we're going to be working on for the first part of class. So get used to it, right? Have fun, put on some energetic music, and practice.